Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. As you know, it's always a pleasure to come and bring you champions and people who share some, a knowledge that will help you to not only to grow your knowledge, but most importantly, to help you to go to the next level of your greatness. Because as we know, knowledge is very important, and it's important to continue to be a long life, learning person. So today we're going back to the US. Yesterday we were in the US. We're going back to the US in Florida, and first time that we have a doctor on the show. So my guest today is Dr. Puja. She is a board certified neurologist and epileptologist. So she'll have the opportunity to let us know exactly what it is. And she's also a neuroscientist and also a leading authority, I mean, in everything that is related to neurology, and also cutting edge brain clinical researcher. And she is, on top of that, she is an executive coach, so helping women to manage, their career, especially when it's a really intensive career, and helping them not to burn out. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The topic is going to be about brain on gratitude, and I'm really looking forward to learn more about this topic and to understand how the brain, help us, with the gratitude in everything that we do. So come in, let us know where you're watching from, and don't hesitate to participate if you're watching live, and make sure you take notes, because I think we're going to really learn a lot today. And I don't want you to leave this platform without taking at least something that you're gonna carry on with, and actually share with your people in your environment and in your community. So let's start. Let's bring Dr. Puja and start this an amazing conversation with her. So don't go anywhere. We'll have some music and we will be back. I will be back with Dr. Puja with me. Another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Virai Telekima Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily action.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others. And you are not alone.
Hello.
Engineering Hour show, Dr. Puja. It is a pleasure to have you with us. And I think my internet is a bit lagging behind. So I really, I'm really looking forward to have this conversation, and hopefully the internet will be kind today, and we can have this great conversation. So before we get into, because today we're going to talk about the brain and the connection with gratitude, I just want you to introduce yourself. I've given a brief introduction about yourself, but anything that I've missed out, and that you want to add or to emphasize at this stage.
Yeah, so I am a brain doctor or a neurologist. I'm also an epileptologist, which is a seizure doctor, and a neuroscientist. So I actually research the brain. But so those are the things that I've been doing for the last 14 years. So I have extensive knowledge of the brain, all the anatomy and things like that, and the function. And then I became a certified executive coach last year. So let me tell you that story behind that. So when I was as a practicing physician about 6 years ago, I experienced burnout. I was irritable, working long hours, not taking care of myself. And I was always focusing on what I didn't have instead of what I did have. And through coaching, I realized such a powerful tool of gratitude and journaling and my mindset, and learned how to change that. That last year during the pandemic, I realized a lot of female professionals were having difficulty with setting boundaries, and they were burning out more. I mean, there was a recent survey showing that up to 55% of women professionals are burnt out over the last year. And I mean, that is such a high number. And so when I became a certified executive coach last year through Life Coach School, I decided I wanted to help female professionals with burnout to learn to set boundaries, learn to say no, and to make themselves a priority. And so now I started my business, Zenful Brain Coaching, last year. And now I've helped hundreds of female professionals through my speaking, in addition to coaching, help make themselves a priority and learn to set boundaries in life.
And that's a real problem, I think, for us women, because we have the syndrome of being wanted to be superwoman, and it can actually backfire. And when you were mentioning the number, that's a lot. That's really a lot. So just to delve into it, so what is the connection with the burnout and the brain? How has those things actually happening? Because it's still a very gray area for a lot of people. We don't really understand what suddenly we have a lot of energy, and then everything is just flat out. So can you help us with that here?
Yeah, so actually burnout is defined by the World Health Organization as chronic workplace stress that is not managed well. It has feelings, you may have feelings of cynicism, irritability, resentment towards work, and lack of job satisfaction. So that's the way that WHO defines it. But in my opinion, I feel like burnout can happen from a number of different reasons. It can happen from work. It can happen from being a parent. It can happen from relationships. So burnout to me can happen from multiple different reasons, not just workplace stress, but workplace stress is a big reason why people do have burnout. And so what happens is with burnout, so initially people, they may start a new job, they may be excited, and then they get asked to take on more work. Their workload could become more than what they're actually able to do. And a lot of times people, especially women, have difficulty saying no to their boss or to colleagues because they are wanting to people please. They want everyone to like them, but at the same time, they're losing out on who they are and what they can actually do. They're sacrificing themselves for the cost of helping other people. Or they're actually afraid of feeling guilty for saying no. So workplace load, like how much they're actually working, can contribute to burnout. Other causes of burnout include a lack of community at work, not having that collegiality or having a positive work environment. That can also lead to burnout, anxiety, and overwhelm. And then a lack of appreciation. So a lack of appreciation, not being appreciated at work from your manager or from other people or from your company, can definitely also contribute. And another reason that people can have burnout is that they have values mismatch, meaning their goals at work or their values of the company and theirs don't align. And that can lead to mental strain and overwhelm. Okay. And then So those are some of the reasons that have been found by Christina Maslach. She's actually an American or social psychologist based out of, I think she's at Berkeley. She came up with several reasons as to why people experience burnout. So those are just a few of them. But what happens is when all of these things come together in a workplace, then that can lead to burnout. You take on more work, you have difficulty saying no, you have difficulty setting boundaries, and then that affects your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And then you're working long hours, you're not taking care of yourself, you're irritable, you are going home and not giving your all at home to your, if you have kids, to your kids, if you have a spouse or a significant other, or even just to yourself, you're not taking care of yourself, not eating healthy, not exercising, then all of that leads to issues with irritability, anxiety, overwhelm, resentment towards work, job dissatisfaction. And then oftentimes it leads to difficulty with focusing, difficulty with doing your tasks on time and getting them done. And all of this then contributes to burnout. And besides the mental health issue of anxiety and overwhelm and depression, there's other aspects with physical health that can be affected with burnout. People can get migraines, they can get headaches. A lot of times people who have stress can clench their jaw. There could be something called TMJ, or like temporal mandibular joint dysfunction. It could also lead to gaining weight because you're not eating well. It could lead to insomnia. You're only sleeping a few hours a night and you're trying to function on that, but that's not going to help you. So all of those are parts of burnout. But again, not everybody experiences every symptom of that in burnout. Each person is different.
But is it something that we can feel like we're going into? Because I think sometimes that's that's the problem. How do we identify that this is whatever we're doing or the way we feel is the premise of burnout? Is there any techniques that you are aware of?
Yeah. So first of all, do you like going to work? Are you going to work and do you like or enjoy what you're doing? Or do you actually resent work? That's one way to tell. When you get up, are you feeling extremely exhausted? Do you feel like, you're exhausted in the morning and in the evening, even after sleeping? That's another sign. Number 3 is, are you able to still function at home and show up in your personal life as you were before? Or how many hours are you spending at work? Are you spending long hours, like 60 plus, 70 plus hours at work? That's another sign that you could be having burnout. And then have you had a mood change where you may be more very happy and excited, and then now you're irritable, you're anxious and overwhelmed, and you're thinking about what possible mistakes you could have been making at work or at home. So those are some of the ways that you can see. And then, are there changes in your sleep patterns? Before, were you sleeping 8 hours and now you're only sleeping 3 to 4? Are you awake at night and thinking about work? And, that's just a pattern you keep on ruminating about work. So that's another thing that could be causing our sign of burnout. So all of those things where you notice a change really in the way you were before to now is really the way you can identify burnout.
And I think you mentioned something at the beginning, about women not being able to put boundaries, and so that's a big problem. I mean, I went through it as well. So how can women actually get these skills of being able to put the bound and tell people that these are my boundary, and especially in this very changing environment where they really require a lot from you professionally. So how can they manage that?
Yeah, so first of all, boundaries are based upon your personal value system. A lot of us, we don't actually know what our personal values are. It really means taking that time to write down what it is that is a priority to you and what is not. So, once you know what your priorities are and what your values are, only then can you actually set boundaries. And you need to be able to be okay with setting boundaries. And what I mean by that is you need to be okay with saying no. And this takes time and practice. So what I actually recommend with my clients is practice sitting in front of a mirror and learning to say no. Just learn to say no. Say the word no. No is a complete sentence. So once you do that and you do it on a daily basis, that is actually one practice that can help you rewire the pathways in your brain through a phenomenon called neuroplasticity, where the pathways that they have currently can actually be changed, where eventually you keep on saying no and you're okay with it. You let go of that shame, that guilt, and then you are okay with saying no. Once you're okay with saying no, then and only then will you be able to set boundaries. You can say to somebody, this, I do not want to do this. Unfortunately, I have something else to do. So that, that's setting a boundary. That's saying no. The other way is just practice. Keep on doing it, and letting go of that guilt and shame is really where it's important to do that. Because once we actually set boundaries, we are promoting self-respect for others, and actually we get more respect from other people. When we do not set boundaries and we keep on saying yes, we tend to have more low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And then that perpetuates, then again, people ask you to do more things, they may take advantage of you, and then that just leads to more burnout.
But it's been a bit difficult, especially in this context where people are being laid off, and sometimes it's really the fear actually creep in. So you don't want to lose your job, or you know that it's going to be really bad. So how do you manage that? Because I think that's really the difficult part, this fear that creep in of losing your job or losing something, or how do you manage that?
So a lot of our fear is not based in reality. We may fear that we're going to lose our job, or fear that we'll be let go, or that somebody else will be hired in our place. But that fear, we shouldn't let that manage our lives. We should, and the way I really recommend doing that is through what we call thought downloads, or brain dumps. It's really writing down in a journal what you're feeling and what you're thinking. That can help you to manage your fear. And actually, when you're putting pen to paper and writing down what you're thinking and feeling, your brain is actually reflecting more on it. You are self-reflecting on what you're feeling. If we were to let fear hold us back, there's a lot of things we wouldn't do. We wouldn't go for that promotion, or we wouldn't go for, a different job if we were afraid, or we let that fear manage us or control us. But it's knowing or thinking that I do have a fear of this, but that's okay. I'm not going to let fear manage my life, and I'm going to make the decision to say no and to set this boundary. And what happens may happen. But then again, at the same time, if somebody is willing to let you go because you say no to taking on a task at work or to doing a certain thing, then I guess, in my opinion, why would you want to work for them if they're not willing to respect you? And if you're saying that what you have is enough right now and you can't take on any more, then there's that place may not be the place for you.
Okay, so we're going to have a small break, and we'll be back with this very interesting conversation. Today we're having Dr. Puja all the way from Florida, and we're talking about the brain on gratitude. So I hope that you are enjoying the start of the conversation, and for those joining us, please make sure you let us know where you're watching from, and I recommend that you take notes as well. So have a pen and paper to really put it on paper and remember whatever is shared today. So don't go anywhere. We will be back with Dr. Puja. So we are back. We are back with Dr. Puja, and like I was mentioning before the break, we are talking about the brain on gratitude. And Dr. Puja is the first medical doctor that we have on our platform, and we are really happy to have her because we're learning so much. And we're talking mostly about, the burnout that can actually deter everything and destroy everything that you're trying to do. So my question for you, I mean, you mentioned the statistic before. So as part of your coaching, what are the key challenges that you've seen so far, and how have you been able to address them and to help the patient that you're working with?
Yeah, so one of the the key things that I find with my clients is resistance to change.
Mm-hmm.
They are so used to saying yes to everything. They're used to that burnout, and they don't know how to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And so when you bring up to them, well, these are the things you can implement now, or these are the changes you can do, and this can help change you or help you get out of that burnout. It's that resistance and overcoming that is the key thing. And mm-hmm. a lot of that comes back to the mindset. When you're not ready to change or take that leap of faith, you're not going to. So what I do with my clients is actually work on changing their thoughts. So I mentioned earlier doing a thought download. It's really examining what their actual thoughts are. So we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day in our brain, but we're not really aware of that. And we're mm-hmm. also really not aware of our feelings or our emotions. So really examining what you're thinking, the actual thought, and what feeling is that bringing up for you, and what action is that leading to, that's what I focus on. So I help my clients make them more self-aware about what their thoughts are and what their feelings are, and then how is that making them show up in life. And most mm-hmm. times with my clients, it's burnout, because those are the people I serve, and they're taking on more than they can actually handle. But then I work on changing those thoughts to actually thoughts that are believable to them and that will actually help serve them in life, to lead to different feelings and emotions and then different actions. Mm-hmm. So let's say, for example, somebody says, well, I'm so used to just working so long and that's just the way it's going to be. And then they're feeling overwhelmed. And then they just continue in that cycle of working long hours. Again, then they're not showing up for themselves. They're mm-hmm. feeling overwhelmed, they're working long hours, not taking care of themselves. So that thought, for it to change to, I can change my life. When you're thinking, I can change my life, then that feeling would be more positive. I'm excited to change my life. I'm excited to take control. And then it would lead to a different action. They may start to take care of themselves, eat more, eat right. And then again, they're going to show up more for their life and show up for themselves. So it's really doing that mindset shift, but to make them ready to take on new challenges and to know that you can change your life. So really, mm-hmm. that's one of the major things I work with my clients with. And then also a lot of that comes back to the perfectionism and people pleasing, helping mm-hmm. them learn that it's okay to say no and to set boundaries, and actually help them give the tools to help them set boundaries in life and to let go of that guilt and shame. And then a lot of my clients, once they've gone through coaching with me, and even people that I've spoken to, have noticed such a change and these powerful tools. So with my clients, I actually work with them with breath work or meditation. Mm-hmm, I ask mm-hmm. them to start just taking deep breaths for 5 minutes a day to help manage their stress and anxiety. And then the other thing is journaling, like I mentioned earlier, with the thought downloads. And then the other thing, which the show is about, is gratitude. Mm-hmm, being mm-hmm. focused on what you actually have instead of what you don't have. So first of all, being thankful for yourself, okay? And you being present and deciding to make that change. And two, what else are you thankful for? Who are the other people that you have in your life? And then, once you practice gratitude, again, you could also rewire those neural pathways or those brain pathways in life. And then research has actually shown that when you practice gratitude, you boost the dopamine, the norepinephrine, serotonin, all of these different neurotransmitters or chemicals in our brain that activate our happy mm-hmm. chemicals or our happiness. They boost our happiness and they bring more joy. Actually, research has shown that people who practice gratitude consistently for at least 2 to 3 months will notice a change in their mood. They'll be happier, have less stress, less anxiety. They'll be able to sleep better. So those are just some of the tools that I help my clients use in addition to the mindset shifts. And so those are things that people can implement right now to really help you change your life.
And it's important to know that they you can actually have control, because I think what people always said is that I can't do anything about it. This is the way it is, like you mentioned, and they really let their power go, because in a way, I mean, they have the power, but they let it go because of the this mindset shift that is not happening. And it can be very difficult, especially, and one thing that I really wanted to know is, because we know that the cultural environment also have an impact, because in certain community or cultural, in certain cultural environment, saying no can be actually seen as something rude, or especially if you talk to your parents or if you talk to elders or anything. So in that, I don't know if you came across cases like that, where you have woman or even a man who is actually knows that he has to set the boundary, but because of the cultural environment, it becomes difficult. So how do they deal with it?
So yeah, I mean, a lot of that comes back to generational culture. We're told sometimes, like I was born and raised in the US. My parents are of Indian descent. Yes, it's
Mm-hmm,
not normal for a woman to say no to the parent or to set
mm-hmm,
boundaries. But it's not till I got that coaching to realize that it's okay.
mm-hmm,
Generations change, culture changes, and being okay with that, it's really letting go of that uneasiness or that angst,
mm-hmm,
or that shame of saying no, and being okay with it. And yes, I have encountered it myself, uh, being the daughter of immigrants, and then also in my culture, it's not as common, but it's just definitely becoming more common. It's
mm-hmm.
being okay with that change in that culture is really important.
Because it's still a taboo. I mean, myself being from African descent, it is a taboo to come and say no, even to in the professional environment, because you have a particular hierarchy, and then when your boss come and ask you something, it is very difficult. So is there a particular way in that type of environment to make the person know that you have those boundaries without actually making them take it personal? Because I think that's the thing that is happening sometime.
Yeah, so the way you could do that is actually, let's say if it's your boss or your manager, they're coming up to you and
Hmm.
they're asking you to do a certain task, but you already have a lot on your plate, or you're already overwhelmed. What you could say to them is, right now I have a lot going on. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take on this project or this task. So that
Hmm.
way, you're saying it politely. You're saying it not in an aggressive way, and you're actually saying the reason why you can't take it on. The
Hmm.
other alternate way to say it is, if it is something that is absolutely important to your boss, is to say, well, right now I don't actually have that much time. But if you want me to get this done, if it's something that's really important, then what is it that you want me to give up right now and to take on this project? So you're
Hmm.
actually still giving them an alternative option to say, well, yes, I can work on this, but I need to give something else up.
Yeah, and I think those are sometimes the techniques that people miss out, and that's when the coaching is really important, because it's sometimes it's the way you say it more than saying it. And I think sometimes people are afraid, because they're afraid of coming across as aggressive or coming across as rude. But if the way you've just explained it is, it makes sense, and the person that you talk to feel kind of included, because you give option, and you basically take into account what it wants, by helping the process, and that's very important. So I mean, just to continue on this conversation about the link with the brain, and the gratitude. So obviously the physical part, what is the importance of the physical, the physical part of, because we've talked about the brain and the mindset, but physically, what is the connection that we can, focus on?
Yeah. Yeah. So the physical aspect of gratitude. So gratitude, when you practice it daily for at least 2 to 3 months, again, like I mentioned, those neural pathways
Mm-hmm.
change through a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. It's where you're actually rewiring your brain. So then that boosts joy, boosts your mental health and emotional health. But the physical aspect of it is that you tend to feel better, you get better sleep. And actually, people who practice gratitude have been shown through research to have lower resting heart rates, to be more physically active, and to enjoy life more. You'll know that the gratitude is actually working because you'll be happy to go to work. You'll be happy at home. You will be more active. You're going to want to work out. You're going to want to take care of yourself. You're going to want to get a good amount of sleep. And you're going to want to enjoy life more and show up more in life. You're going to want to go to work, do well. You're going to want to come home, do well. So those are some of those physical aspects. And then you'll also have less incidence of migraines, headaches. You'll have less incidence of issues with, stress causing physical symptoms, like less teeth grinding, teeth clenching, less insomnia. So all of those physical changes is what you can notice. And also you will have less body aches and fatigue. You'll wake up feeling rested. You'll wake up feeling good instead of being exhausted when you're burnt out. So again, that gratitude not only has mental health changes or impact, but also has emotional health and physical health aspects. So that gratitude can really be life-changing for people. And this is not just for people with burnout. Anybody out there who is not experiencing burnout also too can benefit from gratitude.
And one thing that I've seen is, this knowledge is not, it's still very taboo, and this knowledge is not really shared. So what are the steps that you think we should take, to make it more, more available, widely available to people? Because that's really what's missing. There's a big gap between, having the knowledge and people just don't want to talk about it. I think that's just what it is.
Yeah. So, I think just letting people know, getting out there. I try to speak as many podcasts or be in as many shows to talk about gratitude, your brain, and brain health. It is so important that we protect our brain. It is one organ that controls your whole body. It is so important that we really try to promote mental health, emotional health, and physical health of the brain. And so really just letting people know that this is a simple tool you can start today practicing. It doesn't require any money. All it requires is a few minutes of your time. You just have to sit there and either journal or state out loud 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for. Again, start with yourself and then with other people or other things that you are grateful for in your life. And then you can actually do this with your family. So I have little kids, they're 6 and 8. And I actually practice gratitude, not only myself, but then with them. So we go around and make it a family affair where we say we all say 3 to 5 things that we're grateful for. And then this also boosts that social connection between us and that bond. And then, so this is something that's important that you could start today. And again, it doesn't require any money. It's something you could do by writing down, saying out loud, and you can do it with your family. And so the benefits of this are so impactful. It's going to help you with your brain health, your mood, your physical health. And again, it can be so, so powerful. And it's just, I think really getting that message out there to as many people as possible is so important. And the best way to do that is just keep on talking about it. Keep on bringing up these conversations.
And especially now, where, we've just out of a pandemic, and then we have the economy as well coming up as, very wobbly right now. So it is something that is important. This knowledge is important, and it's important that people know where to find it and how, what are the things that are available that they can do without needing the money or needing any help from, anybody. So that's a very important thing. And, one thing that, especially in the professional environment, we also don't see it a lot. Yes, they are, psychologists but it looks like it's more about, the emergency, more than anything, instead of the prevention. And I don't know how you feel about it, having those professional, but just there for the emergency instead of, having them to actually empower and prevent that it happens. So what do you think about it?
So actually, I think burnout should be prevented. It should start from the workplace. It should start by them implementing, going over your workload. How much are you actually able to handle? Having those one-on-one conversations with your manager or your boss and going through your workload and having them like every 2 weeks or something like that to see what's working and what's not. The other thing that is having a support system, having mental health help in your workplace is very important. Because if people need help, they're going to, a lot of times people don't want to get help. They're afraid of the stigma of saying that they have burnout or that they have mental health issues. And so if there's like a quiet, confident way that they can do it, that's discreet, that's even better. And then the next thing to do is to help promote a positive work environment. Having, that community, having that cohesiveness, having that appreciation when you are at work. And, I think community is very important at work. When you have people who all have a shared common goal, they are more likely to work harder, be more motivated, and to do better. And then also, then their managers are more likely to show appreciation. So again, it really comes back to that community at work. How are people showing up to work? Are they happy? Are they not? And really having those resources available and examining what's working and what's not working is important.
And that's important. The culture of the company to actually allow that to happen, because we've seen so far, especially, I mean, in a lot of, multinational or very, huge company, we've heard about a lot of things, on some of them, especially the big technology company, where there is no, safe space for that. It's just about work and delivering. And like you said, it's really important to start talking about it, going to conferences or organizing for conferences, putting forums together to be able to have that. And that's a question that I wanted to ask you. Do you have a platform that actually help to share this type of knowledge and for anyone at any level to be able to access that?
Yeah, so I've actually been in the media, talked about workplace culture in called the SHRM magazine. It's for people who do remote work. I've been in Authority magazine and Medium. Those are ways, they write down there, ways people can implement a positive work culture. And actually, I just want to come back to the fact that research has shown that positive work cultures are more beneficial to the employer and the employee. You'll have less turnover and you'll have more job satisfaction, higher rates of productivity and efficiency. So that positive workplace environment or culture is so important to retaining employees. They tend to stay longer, they're more satisfied with their job, and they are showing up for work and getting the work done. So again, it benefits both.
Yeah. And that's really where when we talk to the leaders in companies to really emphasize the win-win aspect of addressing the mental health, addressing the potential burnout, because otherwise everybody lose, and that's and that's sometimes the thing that we don't see. I know that there's always a thought that any employee can be replaced quickly, but it is not all on paper. There's always a loss. So that's really critical. So we're gonna have our last break, and we will be back to finish this conversation. A lot, I'm learning a lot here, and I hope that it's the same for you. So those who are going to watch the replay, please let us know. Put any comment, and later on I can pass them on to Dr. Puja so she can address them. But for now, we're going to have a break, and we will be back for the last part of the show. back. We are back with Dr. Puja, and we are talking about the brain on gratitude, and we've learned so much already. And one thing, I mean, that I took from, when you introduced yourself, you said that you yourself went through the burnout, and that's what pushed you to really go deep into it. But obviously now you are a coach, you're creating the awareness. So what is I would say the legacy in terms of this work that you really working toward and you really want to leave?
So the legacy that I want to leave is that your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Your brain health, your emotional health, and mental health, all of it is so important. You need to prioritize yourself before any job. If you don't, it's not going to end well. I myself experienced that when I experienced burnout. And like I said, I was losing who I was, not taking care of myself. And I would easily get upset at my kids at home. And I didn't have any energy for them when I came home. And again, that's something, once you experience burnout, it becomes pervasive in every aspect of your life. And it's not something that you can easily change. You need to first of all examine, where are you in life? What's going on at work? What's going on at home? What is contributing? And really, I think you need an outsider to help you, outside perspective to help you. And for me, a coach helped me with my mindset and helped change my life. That's why I decided to become a certified executive coach. And that's why I now help female professionals with burnout. And I think that mental health is so important. And really, that's what I want my legacy to be, to stress the importance of mental health in the workplace.
Yes, it is an important thing, and we know. I mean, we know it, but somehow we always leave it to the last. We leave it to the last minute, or we don't even want to address it. And like you said, the importance of coaches, to have coaches who can come and remember us, to really focus on our health, on our and focus on ourselves, because if we can't function, nothing is going to happen in our life. So our health is very important, our mental health is very important, as you mentioned. And that's something that we need to prioritize. It has to be number one in our life. So I see that there's a comment here. I don't know if it's a question. It's quite a long comment. So Amina is watching from South Africa. So we can have this knowledge more available out there, the better. So gratitude is a keystone habit that once we adopt it, we see more positivity in other area of our lives. So great insight. Thanks, Dr. Puja. So she's been watching she just joined us from South Africa. And it's really important. And that's why, I'm really happy that we had this conversation. But obviously in 1 hour, it's very difficult to address all the aspect of your work and what you do. So I just want to ask you, is there, anything that is coming up where you share this knowledge, and also let us know how people can actually connect with you, so if they want to continue this conversation or need your services?
Yeah, so you can actually go to my website. It's www.zenfulbrain.com. That's ZENFULBRAIN.com. You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Zenful Official, or I'm on LinkedIn. You can message me there. And then actually, you can also email me. My email is questions with an S at the end at zenfulbrain.com. So those are all the ways you can contact me. Or if you even want to call, you can call. My phone number is US based 407 900 1059.
So nothing, I don't know. I know that you have a podcast as well. So any insight that you want to give us? When is the podcast happening? Is it a regular thing, or is it just something that you do once in a while? What is it all about?
So it's something that I was more consistent with before, but right now I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break from the podcasting, but I hope to eventually get back into it. But there is already valuable information there. I share stories of other female professionals who have gone through burnout. You can listen to any of I think I have like 15 or 16 episodes, and you can gain valuable information from any of them.
Fantastic. And just, before we leave, one thing that I really like, is there a message, a particular message, apart from, you've shared quite a lot. So is there a particular message that you want to leave the audience, the listener, or those who are watching or are going to watch later, with?
Yeah. So my favorite quote is, "I can do it." Often our brains say, "Oh, I can't do that," or it's too difficult. I just don't know how to do it. But if you lead with, "I can do it," you will notice such a change in your life. You will develop something called a growth mindset, where you're willing to fail in life and take on new challenges. And just that one phrase, "I can do it," wake up and say it to yourself every day. And again, this will rewire your pathways in your brain. So again, find some quote that serves you and lead your life by that quote.
Fantastic. It has been a very, a very insightful conversation, and I hope that, people are going to get some help, some value from it. I definitely got some value. So I expect that, the audience also will get at least something. They will learn something or take something from this conversation. For those who are, like Amina would just join us. So, our guest today was Dr. Puja, and she's a certified neurologist and epileptologist. I actually wanted to ask you about this one, epileptologist, because that's the first time that I see that. So what is an epileptologist?
Epileptologist is a seizure doctor. So people with seizures who have abnormal electrical activity in the brain that causes seizures or impairment of their consciousness, or that causes jerking or shaking. So I treat patients with that.
Okay,
that's what an epileptologist.
Right. So, fantastic. And also the most important part is, she's a certified coach, and she empowers burnout female professionals who are working in corporate America. So if you feel like you need help, and you feel like something is not in phase with, the best you, please, connect with Dr. Puja. She can help, or she can recommend, something for you, or someone for you to be able to address, this burnout, or this problem that you have. And as she said, and I want to leave you with this: take care of your health. Take care of your health, your mental health, and be aware of the signs. The signs of the burnout. She shared several signs. I mean, it looks like it's different for each one of us, but you have to listen, to listen to your body, to listen, and the mindset is very important as well. Don't wait to be into the burnout phase. You can prevent. And she's talking about the gratitude. Gratitude is very important. So make sure you have you have gratitude. You're grateful for whatever you have, and don't look for what you don't have, because that's when the problem starts. So, and put and for us women, the boundaries. It's important to set the boundaries, and to communicate those boundaries to whoever wants to push you out of your boundaries. So thank you so much, Dr. Puja, for sharing all of this. It has been, like I said, an insightful conversation, a lot of learning for me, and I think also for the audience. And it has been a pleasure to have our first medical doctor here on the platform. And it's always a pleasure to get new knowledge. And for the audience, I hope that this knowledge will help you to go to the next level of your greatness. And please connect with Dr. Puja if you want more information. So that's all for today. I will be back for another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour next week. So until then, take good care of yourself, and don't forget to take care of your mental health, and don't burn out, please. Thank you, and see you next week.